So in this video I'm going to talk about the concept of streaming in the Java package. What I'm going to try and do is elaborate onto what the concept of streaming is when we talk about Java, but then also go through the types of streaming that you could use as a functionality within Java itself. Based on which functionality you use or which type of streaming dictates which classes you should be using within the packages available. So streaming is essentially the ordering of sequences of data. So I can essentially import the data itself, or I can export it out. Very simple concept. So you can see at the bottom of the screen there are two types of streaming. There's characters and there's bytes. So dependent on what type of process that you want to do, dictates which type of classes you should be using. So the difference between bytes and characters, characters are essentially the uncompiled types of files that you, as an individual, you can open up and you can view the type of data that's been exported out. So this could be like a text file or a CSV file, something that's very much readable from the user's perspective. So byte streaming is essentially a different process. Instead of transferring over readable formats such as a text file or a CSV, we can transfer over binary formats from one entity to another. So this would be something like a data transfer, just sending over 8-bit packages in ones and zeros, or it could be sending over a transfer of the JPEG, for instance. So the concept is very much the same as the transfer stream, but the classes that you use are completely different. So for the character stream, you can see for reading and writing, you use the reader and writer class. From the input and output concept, you are using the input stream and the output stream for the byte. So with that in mind, if you have a Java application but then you want to import in the binary, you would use the input stream. If you want to export out, you use the output stream. Same concept with the characters there. So in this example, I've highlighted a quick demonstration on how to use the file reader. So basically what you do is just create an instance of the file reader in your Java code and then pass the file name when you're creating that instance. Very simple. So here within this example, I've actually incorporated the use of the Bufferedreader. So very similar to the concept that we've just talked about. In this scenario, I'm actually creating a Bufferedreader instance rather than a file reader. And what I'm doing here is that when I create a new instance of the Bufferedreader, I'm just passing through within the parentheses the file reader method. So here I'm just highlighting the reader superclass and also highlighting all the derived classes, specifically when you're using the character streaming. So this is just the all the classes if you want to read from the character's perspective, but also there are other additional classes for the writing for the character side, and also 2 more for the reading and writing of the byte side as well. So not going to go through that because it'll take a long time, but it kind of gives you a scope on how many derived classes need to be considered from the superclass reader. So in this example, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the Bufferedreader functionality within Java. So just a quick demonstration on how to read the file and then how to go through a cycle for each line itself. So I have here a file 2 which I've just put in just 3 lines. So my intention is to read that file and then from each line pull that out and display it back. So within the main method, I'm just going to declare a string, and then I'm going to give it the name of the file in which I'm trying to retrieve that resides within my package. So directory 2 equals file2.txt. Spell string right. And then buffered reader. Let's call it br equals new Bufferedreader. So within the parentheses, when I'm executing the method, I'm actually going to pass in the new file reader. New file reader. So all I'm doing here is just calling the reader file method and then placing it into a buffer. Very simple. I'm passing the file. Let's call that file. And then passing the string value into the buffer. What I need to do also is, because I'm trying to look for the file, I need to throw an exception if the file cannot be located. So just adding that to the method. And then within here as well, actually, if I just do a buffer.close. So when I open the buffer, I also need to make sure that the buffer closes at the end as well. Because I'm using the IO exception within by using the buffer, I can also throw the IO exceptions against the method itself. So this example really goes through the so what I need to do now is that I've got the file, I've put it into the buffer, I need to go for each of the lines and then present that back. So for each string, so if I put string line, and then let's say line equals br.readLine, and then if that doesn't equal to null, then cycle through. So, and then I can also just do a sysout and put line. And then that should be enough. So once I execute that, it returns back the 3 lines.